on our end, Tim.
Sorry?
It's jerky on our end. I couldn't read the back check there.
Okay, I'll maybe try to play it one more time. And it wasn't too bad playing for me here. We talked about that last week, but
I remember the play. I remember.
Can you
thinking
guys see
about it.
that now? Can you guys see that or no?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, so I'll get to so we can break it down. So there's Backlund in the middle of the ice. Okay, he's coming. So there'd be two sort of questions here. I guess Dom is or three maybe. Sort of what would sort of the Flames coaching feedback be in this situation? What do you want Backlund to do versus, what's he capable of doing in this situation? Yeah. So he's back checking there.
Yeah. So he makes a late read there. So basically once that puck's kicked out, then the D are going to slide, and then the forward have got to go to the weak side. And it happens quick. I mean, they kick it out wide, and then, they kick that out wide, and then it ends up being shot rebound, and he ends up beating him to his spot. But, that's that line rush against is, they've had multiple, different tweaks over the last couple of years, but basically that winger, those two D, so the inside D is going to take that driver, and then the forward is responsible for anything coming back across. So, I mean, again, it's I guess it's easy to look at it and say, hey, if he kept his feet going and went to the guy, but it happens so quick. It's just a little bit. I mean, it's from my perspective, it's tough because he's watching where the puck is and understanding. Okay, that D's got that guy back, and then literally as he looks over, that moment where he stopped his feet, loses body position on Simmonds for it to go to the other side. But that would be the messaging that we would have for that clip.
Guys, I would like to see how they got out of the zone and what happened to everybody to understand why that awkward scenario occurred at the Flames blue line. To me, just looking at the rush, I see 2D too close together in the middle. And it's just hard to sort out. Like we say on backcheck, sort it out. There's just no time to sort it out. And it was just one of those scenarios that occurred. Maybe the spacing and numbers, the problem occurred in the width and depth defensively on the transition when they came the other way. I don't know, but it was a good clip to learn from. And Tim, the way you expressed it back, at the beginning, and I don't know if you could say what you went through your mind about Backlund. That made sense to me. And I'm talking like on a superficial level, like Darryl Belfry would be thinking, I'd like to get his take, but he's not a coach. But he'd be thinking about Backlund's commitment to back check, and now the decision making. This is sort of one of those lines. So there's the numbers. Where are the other Reds? 2 below the goal line with 1D.
For me, it's a simple, really. I mean, Morris communicated it pretty well. Number one, there's no communication between the D and the forwards. And if you look at this, if I scroll through this, you can actually see that I think Nesterov comes off the bench. So Backlund sort of gets bumped with Simmonds there. Valimaki is there. See, there's Nesterov. I think he's coming off the bench. So he's a little late joining. And so, yeah, the D are pretty tight together. But the puck is in the inside, and now it gets moved. Um, but if Backlund just commits fully to back checking there, makes a decision and commits fully to back checking, probably Simmonds doesn't score that goal. Like he glides for about 1,000, 2,000. And Dom, there's another clip of Monahan in the first Toronto game. It's exactly the same. He's got defensive side just inside the offensive blue line, and there's just a lack of commitment on his part to actually go all the way back. He back checks, but he stops right about where Backlund stops right here, skating. And why would Backlund stop skating? It's a 3-on-2 here. These D are gonna need help somewhere, and he needs to either commit one way or the other, and he doesn't, and he just stops skating, and that's and the result is the result. So
the three words Morris said. This is for Dom's sake. 3 C's, Morris: commitment, communication, commitment, and certainty. And using those 3 words, talking about Backlund, there was uncertainty, and commitment would be to keep the feet moving and come back harder, so he could have prevented that or in some way influenced it. But just for coaches, the 3 words are the 3 C's. I'm curious about, Belfry does not focus on defensive scenarios like we are.
no,
But we're looking at the defensive side of things, and I'm curious, Bobby, Joe, and Kim, the degree of detail that Tim and Morris are bringing up on the defensive side of the game. Like we're in the female game, Belfry's stuff, the offensive side of the game, I think they can grasp and they're ready to absorb, apply, and buy into. But this defensive side, even at the NHL level, I think the offensive game, focus on it, Belfry's kind of work overrides the defensive thought process and coaching. So that's lacking in the NHL, Dominic. When I go back, to you and saying the D need to work on special skating skills because they can't play rushes, and I'm looking at number 6's feet crossing, Valimaki, it all adds up in the end. The fundamentals of how you skate the game determine your location and being in spots to play situations. Nobody in the NHL spends time on that or talks about it. They're all crossing their feet to get to the middle lane, where the C cut to get to the middle or C cut to get to the outside. You don't cross your feet. Those are fundamental defensive tactical skating skills. But at the NHL level, they don't really think in that way. We're thinking offensive execution, and that's what Darryl's thinking.
I'm going to defend Valimaki there, Wally, because if I'm Valimaki, and I actually wore number 6 in St. Louis a little bit, so I can empathize. He's trying to force the puck to the outside. That's why he comes to the middle. That's where you want the puck, on the outside. And, for me, that's detail. But for Backlund, if Backlund would have just committed to fully back check and all the way back, and honestly, I really like Backlund as a player myself. He seems like he's in a funk this year, but if he fully commits to back checking, they don't score this goal. It's a perfect pad pass, which we know all teams get taught to use. But that's not detail. That's just a basic commitment to defensive hockey. It's one of the first things we focused on, like with the Danish girls, is when you're back checking, especially in an odd situation like this, you are never too late to come back. Like, don't ever think, oh, the play's going to happen, they don't need me. You're never too late to pick up a stick. And we show them, a real nice little video I have from the national team. But if he'd have just kept coming here, he would have probably got his stick on Simmonds, and maybe they score anyway. But he certainly could have disrupted the scoring chance to some level. And it's that simple for me. Just
Tim,
keep skating.
I totally agree with you.
But the crossovers have nothing to do with it. He's protecting the middle of the ice.
No, I'm just referring to them in other cases. I'm not referring to that influencing this so much. I'm just saying, generally speaking, the habit of the crossover will influence you during the game in other situations. I'm talking about Dominic, the coaching staff, the player looking at this clip and saying, geez, I shouldn't have coasted. If he says that and sees it, he understands it. And how do you do that?
Screen shares.
So that you don't lose them like maybe Darryl lost some of the female players trying to get to that detail with him. That's where I'm coming from on this. Not that situation, but if you're going to coach at any level, it's an art of. That's a great clip, boy. I'd have the players, the defense talk about that, the whole team talk about that, and learn from it. Not, oh, geez, we lost the game, and you should have done this or you should have done that. And they might come to the realization without embarrassment. Boy, we can't talk. I don't know, but I'm just saying, as a coach, that's what's.
Timmy. Hello.
Go ahead, Alan.
Just looking at that defensive situation from the way it was a minute ago, that right D took himself too far to the right on the crossover, and he should have been thinking 2-on-1 when he saw, the what was happening at the center, because he left that winger wide, too wide, and but I'm just looking at that picture there. Maybe it's not the way it was, but when I see the two defensemen close together and a winger wide with a possibility of a pass and going right in, but that crossover took him too close to the other D man and left too much width on the side.
So, and again, if we talk about it from the offensive side, this is a really good example of why you want to attack between the dots versus attacking with the puck wide, because it makes it tough on the D to decide how are we going to defend this, who's going to take the puck if the puck's coming right down the middle. Am I stepping up? Is my partner stepping up? And but I think generally the D are protecting the middle of the ice here, and if you're looking at quality scoring chances, where you want the puck is outside the dots, and that's where it is right now. They forced the puck outside the dots. They gave up a 1% scoring chance on this shot, notwithstanding the pad pass. So, and actually I've got another clip, Dom, that would be interesting to compare to. It's exactly the same situation that led to, I think, the winning goal. And I'll show you that. Just
could I add on this just one last thing on this clip? That last clip. Can you leave that clip up there for me? So can you go back? And I just noticed this. Can you go back a little bit? Just right when they're coming, right when Nesterov, back a little more. Okay, watch Nesterov. He's pointing to Backlund to take the wide winger.
I can't see that because your little picture frame. Maybe I can use your.
Right He points with his stick to take a wide man.
Yeah, he's pointing like as he comes on here.
Okay,
right here.
Yeah, I see that now. Yeah,
he's pointing over at Simmonds to take that guy. So I think it's just Backlund just not again. This is 100% all on Backlund, and I know the way that they're coaching Nesterov to take that middle lane driver to be able to say. And so he's pointing to him, and he's doing a good. I didn't notice that before. Like Backlund should have gone right away and trust that his D will be able to, and I'm not sure he's a little puck focused, I guess, if you will, but if he's able to go immediately right to Simmonds and like you mentioned, like would have kept his stride, and you could see his body language after this went in. He was like, yeah, that's my guy.
Yeah, I totally agree, and that's a great pickup. And when I show you the next clip, one of the things we talked about before he came on was, in watching some video of practice, not sure exactly when it was that Tom, I think it was right at the end of the Peters. I think Bill was still there, but they were basically practicing their back checking. And when you're in the middle of the ice or puck side, they basically had their back checking forward track the puck all the way back, and the D would shift over. And that's what I'm wondering if Backlund is thinking right here. He's trying to track the puck and wondering, should I go to that puck side versus go to the wide guy? Because if you look at this clip, and it's again, damned if you do, damned if you don't. But so here's the game-winning goal, and for me on this clip, Bennett is back checking here, and I'll just scroll through it. And you can see they do get organized here, but they ended up, just to finish the clip really carefully, they got Ozone possession, comes around, and Marner scores the game winner right there on a one-timer. But in this situation, this is why I don't like the forward backtracking on the puck all the way back, because it ends up, the D is in the best position to defend the puck now coming down the wide lane. The D's in the best position to defend there. If Bennett just picks up Matthews, what's going to happen? Like nothing. But instead, the forward tracks back, and they give Matthews all this time and space to get the puck. And that's the biggest problem for me, because being a defenseman, I used to see this all the time. It's like, let me take that puck carrier. You get the trailer. I can't get the trailer. He's too far away. So that's, and again, talking a lot of details here, but if you have a philosophy of backtracking and tracking the puck, this is going to happen a lot, where the trailer is going to have time and space with the puck. So anyway.
Tim, my point here, and Dom too, communication.
Yeah,
coach,
exactly.
The coach generally provides a framework or a theory, but it's more important that the players, with all the nuances, and Belfry uses that word in his book, every shift is different. The space, the spatial awareness, the situational awareness, the decision making is different. Coaches don't have time to think about those scenarios. The players are experiencing them as they happen every shift. And that's why players have to look at this in a non-threatening way and sort it out themselves. The coaches never will, to this degree, take this much time to look at those two clips. The video guy might, but
they do, Wally. Trust me, they do. They'll go through those two clips. I'll bet my contract on it that they'll be going through and be saying, like, you can see when I think it's Gio that's back there, like Sammy's coming back, and you can see there's this decision where he's like, do I go or does Gio go? Yeah. And then, right, because that's to me, that's the, and hey, good teams are going to adjust because they're adjusting for that middle lane drive, right? So they're saying, okay, the offside winger's got that middle lane drive. The so when the puck enters wide, they're just trying to make rules that somehow make sense. But it's tough because, like you saw in the first clip, as soon as the puck's kicked out the one side, now it's the forward's responsibility off the far side. Same as the backtrack by Benny. And again, it's changed. When Bob, it was the dot right or the bottom of the circle. There was kind of the line in which you decided whether you track back or whether you hand off. And I think it's a little bit different. It might be a little bit lower. It might be the dots now, like the neutral zone face-off dots. But again, like you can see Sam, he's like, do I go, do I not go? Because he's thinking, okay, I'm going to pressure on this, but if I can't get there, then I'm going to the far other side of the ice. And, Matthews takes it to another level and understands, hey, I'm just going to pull up behind, kind of old school, if you will, because for a while it was triangle, right? There wasn't a middle lane drive. And then there was everything like we've done it till nauseum, middle lane drive, middle lane drive, middle lane drive, middle lane drive. And now the better teams and one of the best players in the world understands that, okay, that D is backed right off. I'm just going to take this ice right behind, and now you enable you to maintain possession going in the zone. So they go, Wally, like I will say, they'll till nauseum on those details in the dressing room, to the point where it's like we got like, and Jeff Ward will say it, he goes, there's no 100%ers, because there will be literally players that will come in and be like, well, I was told to backtrack on the guy, and he's like, well, like there has to be a read. And so yeah, it's not, hey, but trust me, they're scratching their head right now, especially after losing 2 in a row to Toronto. They're freaking out, I can promise you.
Yeah, and I think those are all terrific points, Don. Like really, it all comes down to one of Morris's C words: communication. And like you said, really good to point out, Nesterov was trying to communicate there, and Backlund didn't pick it up. But every situation, I totally agree with Wally, with you. Every situation is going to be a little different. As coaches, we provide a framework, and hey, guys, you got to read and react, you know. And the freedom, the onus for me, coaching the defense, would be to put the onus on the defense to communicate, who do you want that forward to take? Just like Nesterov is trying to do there. So good on him. And bad on Backlund if he doesn't pick that up. And Backlund can say, well, I'm supposed to go to the strong side. Say, hey, if the D communicates with you, that overrides everything. Everything's read and react, and the communication is the biggest thing in those situations.
Yeah. The thing that I found interesting, just reflecting on the Nesterov thing, like at times, like there's crowd noise and there's things that are going on and you're not able to hear the player. There's no crowd noise, right? They've got a little bit in the background, but like you can hear a pin drop in those rings. And so, so that's just a question of, Backlund just not reading the situation, right? Like that's, and communicating, like to exactly what you guys are saying, to be able to adjust to what your teammates are. Like your teammates, they can see the whole play. You're backtracking. That's part of the reason why they've, have that middle lane guy taken by the D, because that was a conversation too, is that it's tough for, like, let's just say, for instance, you say, okay, Backlund's going to pick up that middle lane drive, and the D takes, it's like, okay, I got the wide guy, you got him. That's hard. That is so difficult for that back checking forward to try to get body position, because he can basically shield himself, and it's just a hard pass to a tip right in front, that guy driving through. So that's why they've, in my opinion, that's why they've had that D take that middle lane drive. But hey, it's not easy. That's why they're getting paid the big bucks, yeah? So they can figure this out.
I got a point here. I don't know if Bobby Joe's still on, but Kim is. And I go back to the female game and where it's at. And Dom, you were coaching your daughter's team and sort of let them figure things out here. And there's a figuring out degree where the players get it and will get it if you let them figure it out. So my question is, Kim, how far away is the female game from this level of thinking without the puck? Are they?
I think we're further ahead than you think. I actually think this is easier on the female side because you can set rules.
Good.
You can say, I think, like, and I'm speaking about my level. Again, I would